Fouad, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Me too.
Okay, so let's talk about, first of all, there's this ceasefire agreement for 60 days between Israel and Lebanon that, I mean, we'll see in the coming days whether or not this actually holds. Anything can happen. We've seen numerous ceasefire agreements that don't go through. Donald Trump takes office in 55 days, 5 days before this ceasefire is set to expire. What do you think, for this, first of all, with this ceasefire agreement? What's confusing to me is the reason Hezbollah was firing at Israel to begin with was to help defend and distract, for the Palestinians because of Israel's onslaught into Gaza. Hezbollah was attempting to direct some of the attention away, and they were saying, look, we want you to stop the genocide. That is not ending. Israel is not calling for an end. They're not agreeing to any end to the onslaught in Gaza or in the West Bank. So how do you feel about this potential ceasefire? Do you feel betrayed?
Okay, thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm very honored to be in your platform. So, when we talk about the agreement with the Lebanese, it's different when we will divide between the Lebanese government and the Hezbollah. The Hezbollah give the mandate to the Lebanese parliament President Nabih Berri to negotiate by the name of the Lebanese resistance, and then the agreement will be, we know the target of Israel to steal the land in the south of Lebanon, and to steal the river, and to steal to the oil in the in the Lebanon Sea of Lebanon, in the south, and to obligate a new president in Lebanon, because for until 2 years no president, first president in Lebanon, and the no also prime minister. So Israel need to be an agreement to finish the conflict between the Lebanon and Israel, and to make the interest of Israel and USA against the and to homogeny of the new Middle East, to create the new Middle East, not just against the Palestinian. So Hezbollah from 8 October, they open the war in according to the conflict rules, which accepted by the Israelian. And we know that Lebanese territory in the south are occupied. Mazara Sheba and Tirel Kafar Shuba. It's occupied territories by the Israelian. So Hezbollah defend and attack this territory, and it was accepted by the Israelian, and which related about the conflict rules. But Israel need to open the war about the regional war, and assassinate the leaders of Hezbollah, specific Sayyid Hassan Nasrullah, and the cyber issues about the pagers when bombing about related to Hezbollah. So all think it's escalating the aggression of the war, and Hezbollah say the Israel cannot to be continue to steal our land, and obligate the normalization, because Israel now failure to make the target to make an agreement of normalization between Lebanon and Israel. It's the first, and it loses to make an amendment about the 1701 resolution by the Secretary General related about the protection of the border in the south. So now the sovereignty Lebanese are full sovereignty and independent to protect the border in the south and not Israel. And it's just imagery of Israel. So now this agreement, it's very important. It's a victory for the Lebanese resistance, all the Lebanese resistance, and it's very important and make another point of view to support Gaza and stopping the genocide in Gaza. So we are as a Palestinian, we need to be all the country are good in the good state, not with a war. So this agreement it can be very helpful for the Lebanese and for the Gaza Palestinian people in Lebanon or in Gaza and West Bank.
Okay, so you feel like this is a good agreement because this will mean that Hezbollah can no longer attack Israel in defense of the Palestinians. They would have to stop, according to this. Is that right?
First, the target of Israel is to eliminate their resistance, and it is the what is lost by this war. So Israel cannot eliminate their resistance, and Hezbollah it continue and will be more strong than before the war. So now the kind of support will be changed, of course, but Hezbollah will not be still the Palestinian alone in Gaza, and this is about the decision and discussion between the leaders of the Palestinian and Hezbollah. We know the pressure of some of Lebanese parties against Hezbollah in Lebanon, the pressure to ceasefire. So we are the ceasefire. We are not against the ceasefire, but the ceasefire in accordance to be the resistance will be more strong and not more to not eliminate the resistance.
Got it. So you feel like this is a win because ultimately Israel's goal was to get rid of the resistance entirely. And now with the ceasefire, they cannot do this.
Yes, of course. Now Lebanese resistance win, and in the road to the Palestinian resistance win about the steadfastness of more than 1 year. So the steadfastness it's the more important resistance kind of resistance because we cannot be just need we know the Israeli make the genocide, so we cannot so we resist to exist.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about, well, I mean, we'll see what happens in 60 days. I mean, do you think that this ceasefire is supposed to be only for 60 days? It's not permanent. So I think what Israel is banking on is they believe when Donald Trump becomes president in 55 days, that he's going to give more ammunition, more weapons, more support to Israel to do whatever Israel wants to do, that Israel will no longer be held back. Like they claim they're being held back by the Biden administration, who criticizes them or limits their weapons, and that when Trump becomes president, then they'll have whatever they want. Do you fear that in 60 days, Israel's just thinking, fine, we'll stop for 60 days. And then when Trump's president, all hell's going to break loose. We are going to get all the weapons and we'll be able to do whatever we want to Palestine and Lebanon and Syria and wherever we want. Are you worried about that?
We know Israel violates all the also the international law. So of course we have believe that Israel will broke the and violate this agreement and sometimes. But you know the now the resistance will be exist. So it can be exchange the. the war and reopen the war. So now Netanyahu, he is not relaxed now, Netanyahu, about what happened. The pressure, also internal Israeli community pressure, and 62% from the Israeli society against the agreement with the Lebanese, and 62% from the Israeli think it's a lose to Israel and win to Hezbollah and the Lebanese resistance. So we wait this violate. We are this in this we are waiting any violate to re-exchange the bombing or target some places, but
Hmm.
the for this instant the and it can be just a point, a positive point to re-support the Lebanese resistance, the Palestinian resistance in Gaza. So it can
Mm.
more point, but it's not a clear in the agreement. So we will wait tomorrow. The Lebanese government will sign the agreement, and we can discuss about the official agreement. But
Yeah.
for this the agreement, it's not clear. It just to discuss between the journalists and some TVs and social medias.
Right. So let's talk about the future of, yeah, I mean, we don't know with the ceasefire agreement. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Let's talk about the future of Palestine now. Donald Trump has won the presidency. He's going to be taking over in 55 days. There were a lot of Muslim Americans who supported Donald Trump over Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And yet, Trump has pretty much, I mean, now that we're seeing who he's putting into his cabinet, he's appointing very strong pro Israel, pro annexation people who don't believe Palestine exists. I mean, he's appointing them to positions of UN ambassador. The American ambassador to Israel now doesn't even call it the West Bank. Huckabee, he calls it Judea and Samaria and believes that it's all Israel's land. There is a real possibility that Israel annexes all of the Palestinian land under the Trump administration. Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem. So he's very pro whatever Israel wants to do, and it's all Israel's land. What's the feeling amongst the Palestinians that you're encountering? How are they viewing Trump returning to the White House?
Yes, we all know the agreement of or the vision of Trump in 2020 from 4 years before, and they talk about the deal of the Middle East and the Palestinian question, related about the Palestinian refugees, related about the state of Palestine, and related about the normalization with the Arab countries. But we know who control the administration of Trump. It's not the administration of Trump, it's the secret states. So it's democracy or it's Joe Biden or Trump. It's the same. So Joe
Mm,
Biden support the genocide in Gaza, and also Trump. It can be support the genocide in Gaza and support and send for the Israeli the weapons and more efficient weapons. So as a Palestinian, if Kamala Harris will win, so we know the illegal settlement will be expanded um, in the West Bank. And if Trump and now Trump won, so the election, so he will annex the plan. So in the two cases, the Palestinian loses the territories, the
mm.
Palestinian territories, the own territories. So no choice for the Palestinian. It's just to continue to resist this plan we don't never ever forget the we don't never ever forget or lose the hope. We need this hope. We need hope to ending the occupation of our territories, to establish our independent state, for the refugees to return to Palestine according in 194, apply the international resolution, apply the international justice court of justice according on 19 July 2024. It's to ending the occupation, and this occupation, it's illegal about the Palestinian territories and East Jerusalem according to 1967 borders territories. So the Palestinian, it's their struggle. It's the moment to receive the Palestinian the right to self-determination on their land. So it's the main strategy. So if the international community will not be accountant the Israeli leaders and not accounted and freezing the membership of Israel in the United Nations, because you know the violation of Israel against the United Nations, and not just against the Israel. Israel target the UNIFIL, the United Nations for peacemaker in the border of Lebanon, attacking the United Nations, the UNRWA employees. So we and ban the work of of UNRWA in East Jerusalem, and it's mean the annexation of the land. So now Israeli violate all the United Nations resolution, all the international laws. So now it's the time to apply the arrest of Netanyahu and Gallant according to the ICC resolution from 4 days.
Well, I mean, they should, but I think that you and I both know it won't happen. So realistically, when I mean, you make a great point that either way, under Harris or Trump, the Palestinian people would lose. That under Harris, there would just be a blind eye turned. It would pretty much be the status quo, where a blind eye is turned to the illegal expansion of the settlements, to the violence against the Palestinian people. They would continue, Harris would have continued the genocide and arming Israel. But the difference is under Trump is that Israel may be given the green light to actually annex the land. And that is different than just what has been going on for a very long time, the expansion of settlements and whatnot illegally, and then kind of denying the whole thing. That's different. Annexing is a whole different thing. What do you think will happen to the prospect of a Palestinian state once the Israelis fully annex the land?
Of course, it's the mistake to talk about the two-state solution or the one-state solution, because now what happened, it's different from 76 years. So when we talk about the two-state solution, which mean will be present two states, one Palestinian, one Israel, to find the solution. But the international community didn't recognize about the second state. It's Israel. It's Palestine. So you should first establish the state of Palestine, and then you find the solution of the two states. For this moment, no Kamala Harris, no Trump will recognize the Palestinian state. It's just for the negotiation. Negotiation for what? Negotiation. It's our land. So negotiation. When we talk about the negotiation, the Palestinian loses 40% of their land. The number of illegal Israeli settlers before the Oslo Accord, 75,000 Israeli settlers. After the Oslo Accord, 800,000 Israeli settlers. So, but when we talk about when we talk about now the military operation between the Palestinian resistance and Israel, 1 year, and the Israeli cannot steal the land of Gaza, cannot control the land of Gaza. So we don't have any choice just to continue to resist. So we don't trust with any administration of the USA. Just it can be support the Palestinian rights. It's to apply the international law, to apply the international resolution that we need. To when we make a peace conference about to apply the United Nations resolution. So it's all demand. It's to apply the United Nations resolution. So it's not impossible demand. It's our rights.
I agree with you. I've never understood why the declaration of a Palestinian state just couldn't be done. Why not? They declared Israel a state, so why does there need to be a negotiation in order for Palestine to have a state? It should just be declared and then enforced. And that seems to be pretty basic for my understanding, but that is unfortunately not what is happening. They instead insist that in order for Palestine to have a state, there needs to be a negotiation or an agreement with Israel. But for Israel to be a state, there was no such negotiation. There was no agreement by the Palestinians for Israel. It was just Israel got to be named a state and Palestinian isn't. And that is that's really it just goes to show that there never was any real intention for Palestine to ever really be a state. It was all just talking points while Israel committed ethnic cleansing and genocide throughout the decades. What would you like to see as the final end solution to this? I mean, how are we going to achieve peace in the region? Do you see a one-state solution from river to the sea, all one people, be they if you do see a one-state solution, is it with no Israelis, they all leave, or is it a mixture and everybody lives together? Do you see a two-state solution? What is your ideal?
Okay, one state solution, which means to our land will the Palestinian give for the Zionist movement. So it's also we cannot accept of this one state solution. And then when we accept the one state solution, which means to finish the colonial regime in Palestine and beginning of the apartheid regime, and we lose the land and we will be a Palestinian just to talk. We need our right. But when we receive the land, so we can apply the self-determination on our land. So about the two-state solution without the borders of Palestine, without any, we cannot talk about it's just the symbol or it's a slogan, two-state solution. It cannot be applied. We need first establish the independent state, Palestinian state, as is Jerusalem its capital, according to the international law. We need to apply for this moment the international law, and then after to establish the Palestinian state and receive our right of self-determination, we can talk about the new level, about the negotiation of a new level, about the conflict between the two states. But now we don't what happened, it's not a conflict between the Palestinian and the Israeli. It's occupation against the resistance to need to ending the occupation. So now this it's the situation. So no one can ask about after 3 years. But now about the normalization with the Arab. The Arab in 1990s say we accept what the Palestinian accept. So now the normalization, it's to accept the Arab, to pressure to the Palestinian to eliminate and to finish and ending the Palestinian question without any rights for the Palestinian, and it's not acceptable, and we cannot accept this. And this is the appendix of what happened on October 7 as operation. It's to stop the annexation, stop the normalization. It stopped the new colonial regime, new Middle East against the Palestinian people. And we know the oil in Gaza Marine, and we know the canal of India, Middle East, and Europe. So we know all this plan, and we know when Netanyahu before 7 October, when he present a plan of the new Middle East without Palestine, without Jordan, without Lebanon, without Egypt, and so all this land are annexed. Can we talk more about the border of Israel? Israel doesn't have a border, so it's unacceptable. Doesn't have, so why we should we should to indicate my border and just to live in the settlement. The Palestinian village are separated, so it's a independent state. I don't need a fake state. I need an independent state, full sovereignty, full self-determination. I need airport. I need an army. I need. So when we talk about the state without army, so no, it's not acceptable,
Right.
because Israel, it's army. So I accept, if you need to accept the Palestine without army. So Israel did accept to be disarmed state. Israel have a nuclear weapon. I don't have a nuclear weapon. I have just a small rocket, and not its real rocket. It's just a firework. The Palestinian, it's a very important issue. The Palestinian have a firework and not real rocket, because it's fabricated in Gaza, and we know
Yeah.
Gaza is isolated, so it's a true.
No, I agree. If you're going to have a sovereign state, I mean, that's been the problem with all of these supposed, Oslo Accord or the deal of the century put forward by Jared Kushner is the a state is not a sovereign state unless it has the things you mentioned: its own military to defend its borders, an airport, sovereignty over its water, its borders, its telecommunications, its ports. And Palestine has never been given any of that. Israel controls all of those things. And even if the international community says, okay, you're not allowed to have a military, sort of like what we did with Japan and Germany, there's got to be still a different military that is there to defend them. And that's what was established for Japan and Germany, was that there would be a military presence there to help defend their borders against anybody that would invade. And there should be, perhaps another force that's set up in Palestine to defend Palestine, in particular against Israel. But that is not even being discussed. So there is no real discussion of a Palestinian state. There never really has been. I understand what you're saying. You're saying we have to, at first, the first step is apply international law. That's basic, right? There was international law set up, and it needs to be upheld, and no one is upholding that international law. So, perhaps, I mean, I don't know what the future holds for Palestine. I'm nervous about the annexation and what annexation is going to mean. But even if Israel annexes, it doesn't mean I don't think that ends the discussion of, that just solidifies the fact they are occupying it, rather than them denying they're occupying it. They wouldn't be able to deny it anymore if they annex the land. It would be that would stop them from denying it. So then from there, maybe there could be a bigger push towards give the land back and apply international law. But I got to tell you, Fouad, I'm not very optimistic about this for the Palestinian people under Trump, or anybody. As you mentioned, it doesn't really matter if it's Trump or anybody. because it all ends up being terrible for the Palestinians. The only thing I can hope for is that the international community is now disgusted with Israel. And that disgust is, the world is becoming disgusted. The world is becoming very aware. And perhaps with enough time, the world will pressure Israel to change its behavior. That's the only thing I can hope for the Palestinian people.
First, I am very optimistic because a mathematics rule, when we open the parentheses and we add the plus 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 plus, when you close the parentheses and you multiply it by 0, so the equation will be equal to 0. This 0, it's our will, so we're not lose the will and the hope to ending the occupation of our territories. So it's the non-violent resistance. So I am a Palestinian refugee outside of Palestine. I cannot visit my family in Gaza, which now 89% was died in Gaza according to this genocide. So I cannot be separated from our territory. So I cannot visit the territory. The right of Palestinian, the right of return of the Palestinian refugees, it will be applied. We cannot accept a Palestinian state without return of the Palestinian refugees, and it can discuss more about the return of refugee according to 194 resolution. But we can talk about. I am very optimistic. The silence of international community when he look the Palestinian cannot accept any solution just to apply and to receive their rights, so he will apply the international law, make the sanctions, divestments of Israel. So yes, we can do, but now the interests of the colonial country and the USA administration now, it's related the interest of Middle East. And after the war, after this war, you can look the role of Israel is to protect the interest of and the hegemony of the USA and colonial regime. But now all the imperialist country, when we look, the Israel cannot protect itself, so it cannot protect the interest of these countries, and the Israeli will lose the role of the security of the interest of these countries. So at this moment we can talk, the international community can pause the sanctions and divestments of Israel and boycott, and if they cannot accept the establish of Palestinian state, will freezing the membership of the United Nations. And if you remember, two conditions to accept of the membership of Israel, it's to accept to 181 resolution and accept the 194 resolution by the United Nations. So Israel doesn't accept this resolution for this moment. So yes, I have the right cannot be will be received if we demand, but when they don't demand our right, so will not receive.
Fouad, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your perspective on everything. And I admire and appreciate your optimism. That's all you can be. I mean, really. Otherwise, you'd give up, and you don't want to give up. You have to keep resisting and fighting and trying to get your land back and just ending the inhumane occupation that Israel has put upon the Palestinian people. And it is truly terrible and depressing to watch. So hope is the weapon that Palestinians, the preferred weapon that Palestinians use. And it is that Palestinians hope for the basic human rights, hope for basic human treatment. And I hope that you gain that as well, Fouad. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much also to you, and I am very, very honored to be at your platform. Thank you so much.